Henry, how did you come to decide on solar and on Joju?
My wife had died, and my daughter in Corn, which is near Leicester, she said, "You're too far away." And that's when, 21, I came down here to the house that I'm now in. Fiona, daughter, found this very nice bungalow, but solar panels were definitely on my agenda. Joju was excellent because my son-in-law, he wanted panels and he'd hunted around. I don't know how he chose, but Joju was the one, and he was well pleased with the firm. So I contacted Joju, and Dan came down, and that it was very helpful. He actually came down from Sheffield. There were other firms that they said, "You'll have to sign up before we come." But anyway, he came down, and we were able to talk about the whole situation, and he looked around the house and, what would be possible. And that's when we did settle on the 10 panels again. The house is not as well oriented as the previous one. It's mostly facing west, I would say, if not a shade of northwest in it, which is not ideal, but that's where most of the panels are. And only 2 are facing south. Nevertheless, his advice was it would still produce a reasonable amount of electricity. The final answer, well, yes, it does.
How was the initial survey visit with Dan?
I didn't feel he was selling me anything at all. He was there, obviously, as a representative, hoping I would buy something. But he was not sort of saying, if you sign in the line, this is what it will be and all the rest of it. He was completely open about, why are you interested? I want to see the place that you're talking about, and which way the roofs face and all that kind of thing, and what would be the right thing to consider, what the options would be and how many, and that kind of debate. But these were all technical debates, and they were very helpful. And he was also, warning me about things that there was a way of putting more up. There was a more roof available because they're not facing in the ideal direction. We could put more up on the less ideal roof, but still. But on the other hand, meeting the next problem is that the local grid might need to authorise it. Whereas if we stuck to around about 10, we wouldn't need to ask for permission, just get on with it. So he was very helpful on all these counts and sorting it out. And from my point of view, it was not a sales pitch. It was this is what we can do, combined with and this is what I think you should do. In other words, you don't need to do that, but you do need to do this. He fully agreed that although there's room to buy more panels, there was no need to go down that, seeing the house and all the rest of it. And that's what we would charge. He was quite straight.
After you agreed what you'd have on the roof, how was the install experience?
Well, it was perfect. There was no problem. We got all the timing of things sorted out. Even, I would say, this scaffolding, this house is very close to the neighbour. So getting onto the roof that most of the panels had to go onto was not an easy job. But the scaffolders made sure that they had to put in a system that didn't require going into the neighbouring garden at all, but still would allow people to carry solar panels up and install them on the roof. So I would say even the scaffolders did a wonderful job because they did exactly what was asked, a secure system for getting these things onto a hard-to-access bit of the roof. And then Dan was very good about what sort of panels they would be putting up, the advantage of them. Not being the old style where if one went, then the whole lot went, but the kind that are all independent. And he was strong in that. And the bill was entirely acceptable. And the guys turned up at the time that was required. I think it was just 2 or 3 days. It was all there. The scaffolders arrived with it, a week ahead, got the place ready for them, came in back a week later, took it all away. All straightforward. Everything worked.
In terms of the system performance, it covers everything in the spring and summer. What about in the autumn and winter?
Well, last year, this is just paying the same amount each month. February is going down, March will go down further, May, June, in about there, I'm winning. And then British Gas, they won't be getting anything from me, not very much anyway. Virtually buying nothing over the summer months. Come the autumn, the British Gas were startled by this and they gave me £600 back because they said there was far too much in my bank account with them. So I'm counting into this that the amount of electricity I sell over the year, I get paid about 400 back from the grid. It contributes to the balancing of the books.
After your experience, would you recommend Joju?
I would, and that's about neighbours that take any interest. I mentioned Joju as the one that I think they should really check with. From my previous experience, there are charlatans out in this world. My impression was Joju was not a charlatan. It was just telling you the way it is, and it was doing its best for you. And that was a much safer place to be.
Speaking more generally, Henry, why do you think it's important for people to think about alternative ways to power their home?
Oh, because I think it's absolutely essential for the survival of this country and eventually the world. The grandchildren I fear for, because we can't keep on digging stuff out of the ground in order to provide energy. The ground just can't keep on doing that, and there's a lot of people in this world. The only source that we know will not go away until we're away is the sun. And so we'll have to be interested in clever ways of getting the energy from the sun into whatever energy use we've got in mind. We have to get on with this change. So I was very happy to be one small character in the Let's Get On With the Change, because one of the things I think is a must is to say, please, would you just generate your own need on your premises? And your connection to the grid is for emergency services only. And then that way you can get through a bump of some sort or other, because you really are dealing with it yourself most of the time. And you occasionally need a helping hand. And that would be the best solution for, right across the country. So I would say if you're trying to save on the electric front, then solar panels at the moment are a very good investment.